talk about, and I'm not sure, how long have you all been investigating, or are all of you investigators? Seriously, are any of you investigators, actual on-site investigators? How long have you been doing it?
All my life.
All your life?
2 years.
2 years? I know you. You guys can talk too. How long have you been doing it?
We started in May.
In May?
Oh, great.
What?
And I've already seen stuff that...
What was the trigger though? What was it, a feeling? Was it an urge? Was it a dream? What pushed you into this?
I seen
A signal?
them. Seen ghosts at my house.
Okay, so you
They
saw them.
interacted with me a little
Did you
bit.
feel them before you saw them?
I knew they were coming.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you felt them.
And I would see them.
Would you say it was your animal instinct that reacted? Your on guard went up?
Curiosity. I never really was afraid of it.
You guys, can anybody say before you had an experience, what did you feel? Do you remember?
I was 5 years old, so I don't remember a whole lot of it.
Even as an adult though?
As an adult, yeah, I've got feelings.
You can tell why, because the room does what? It changes. You feel differences in the room around you. You feel differences in the people in the room with you. You can actually feel their energies change when something is happening, correct? You feel a stiffness, you feel a relaxation, you can feel sometimes fear. You can almost smell fear in the room sometimes. You can know when you're with investigators that are not in a good position to be there at that point in time. Why is that? Anybody tell me?
Well, in all actuality, when there is something present, the barometer pressure changes.
Why else? What are you feeling? What are you reacting to?
Energy levels.
Correct. Can I ask you a question? Can each one of you guys turn around and touch each other? Put your hands on each other. I'm going to make a point to you guys. Put your hands on each other. Seriously. Touch each other. You know what? Let me tell you something. By law of science, you are not actually in contact with each other. You are not touching. Physically, you are not touching each other. Physically, on an anatomical level, it is impossible. Absolutely impossible to touch them. It's impossible to touch an object. What you're doing is you're repelling, and you're feeling the energy of repelling. People don't understand that, and that is a very important fact in this field, and it's something that I always tell people to be very attentive to. You can feel energy when you're coming up on an object. A lot of us do different, what?
Raise the volume and use the mic.
You want me to yell?
Please.
Okay.
Perfect.
Thanks, Gary.
Do you need hearing aid?
No, he needs it up there for the mic. When I train investigators, and I've been doing this a long time, I've been doing this over 20 years. When I train new investigators, one of the first exercises we do is deprivation. I take them into a large room or a large warehouse where there is no sight. All you're doing, you have your ears. That's about it. And we put objects in these rooms, and we'll move the objects intermittently throughout the training. What I'm doing is trying to get people to adjust to sensory deprivation and be able to feel in front of them for where there's an object. Because if you're focused, you can feel that object before you hit it. If you can actually relax all of your emotions and just let your energy field extend in front of you, you can feel an object before you hit it. That's again scientific fact. This is not me being a pagan and giving you some fairy bullshit, excuse the language. But it's not. This is science. Okay? This is something if you went to a science class, they'd be teaching you this. Okay? Basic science. So what happens to that energy? You guys know? I mean, you have inanimate energy, you have animate energy. What happens to the energy inside of us? The field that we put off, because that's why we can't touch each other. I'm not touching George right now. This is my mind making an actual image for me and relaying touch to my sensories in my hand, telling me that I'm touching George. But I'm not.
This is my nipple getting excited when you touch me. Oh, it was the energy.
See how it is to work with him? Now if I touch the part.
You know, it boils down to, people ask us all the time, it boils down to frequencies. We're vibrational frequency, beings of light and energy, and people don't realize that we are actually connected to all living things. And what made you, I want to ask them a question, what made you get into this field? Everyone has a certain reason what made you get into this field. And what was it for you?
Curiosity.
It was curiosity. And you guys back there?
I like to play with cool science.
I like that. Sorry. You can stay. I like you.
I saw the cool toys on TV and I wanted some of those.
Was it TV that attracted you though? Was it watching the shows?
I mean, I don't want to be on a show or anything like that. I'm a science
appreciate the
and
honesty, because
I
it's
saw
all
the
part of it.
instruments that they had, and I was like, I wonder if it does that, and but
And you?
I had questions that I wanted answered.
Basically, I got into it to see why they should have thought we could do something together.
And you got into it for one reason.
And I love it.
You got into it for one reason.
He had personal experiences.
Oh, well, I've had quite a few personal experiences. I was always curious, always actually not an investigator, but I was always, even in grade school, reading books on UFOs, ghost stories, and the paranormal. Before the ghost hunter paranormal,
Right,
I was
right.
into the mystery,
The hospitals.
there was always something drawing me to it. There's something there that I'm drawn to.
And I know what you want, but you just dragged it because you're a girl.
He's a skeptic. No, I think he actually wanted, he
What
likes
you got
to
into it?
keep on.
Other than hanging out with me.
Yeah, you.
I want to experience it. See, and that's what a lot of people do. Either they have a moment in life that made them pursue this path, or they had an interest. With me, I had a dream that informed me to follow this, and by a spirit, and the same spirit I met 6 months later at a location I was doing, the same spirit now resides in my house. And I tell people, the paranormal, if you're into it, whether scientific reasons, if you're into it for spirituality reasons, or you're into it trying to discover something new, it is not something that you're going to be concrete on, because it's just like everything else in life, it is a stepping stone. It will take you to new opportunities, new places that you never before imagined, because as you start getting the knowledge, you will start getting the answers, and it will start changing you and transforming you to other things. When I got into paranormal, I was not spiritual. I was not positive. I was far from it. And for me, it actually allowed me to become very spiritual, allowed me to become very positive, allowed me to become a minister, and as you see what I do online a lot. And it was all because of the paranormal. And it all boils down to what we're talking here today. It's about frequency. Everything around us is frequency. When we have this, people don't realize when we think, when we act, when we show emotions, our bodies are emitting these frequencies. And pending whether the frequency is good or bad is what your outcome happens. People tell me lives are hard, my life is bad, my life is horrible. And I tell them, I'm sorry to tell you this, because your life is that way because this is what you manifest into your life. Well, I've never done anything bad. Actually, you have. When you don't have faith in yourself, when you have doubts, when you have insecurities, you're not living to your full potential. You have that doubt, and that doubt is creating a frequency that changes your life.
You put it out of frequency, you're getting one.
Exactly. So when someone dies, that frequency, energy always will be, and always existed. When someone dies, I personally have a theory is that energy does not die, it does not dissipate, but remains at frequency. We have enough intuitives tap into it, because we're able to get to that.
All right, I get a lot more scientific than that.
Yeah, she does.
He is a spiritualist, and it's kind of funny because I'm a pagan, he's not, and I'm not spiritual about this at all. I am very scientific. I am very matter of fact. I'm going to look at cold hard facts. I'm going to look at science as it's being discovered now, and as it relates to what we're looking for. How many here?
Hey guys, I'm sorry, but we're having a little technical difficulties. You guys are going to have to see mine. It's not showing up.
Okay, never mind. Oh, I get to carry it in that project.
Hello, Mommy.
Thank you. All right, is that better? Test, test. No. Somebody want to answer me?
I know what that's
Sorry.
It's going over the net, so people.
It's going over the net? All right.
Well, our apology.
So what's the language?
Morgan
Rugged.
sent to me from California saying he can't hear you.
He can't hear us?
So
Not at all.
Hi, Morgan.
Morgan, we love you.
I miss you. Wait. What time is it? I hope you have your Velcro with you.
3 hours behind.
Okay, so is anybody here familiar at all with physics? Is anybody studying physics? Quantum physics.
Quantum.
Stephen Hawking.
Dr. Petrov,
Okay.
Berkeley.
So then you know the theories of the electron particle acceleration. You understand the theories of string. You understand all these theories that have been set out in front of us and how that can work with the human anatomy.
Dr. Petrov has recently published a paper on quantum physics and equating it to gravitational fields.
Fields. Yes. In
And,
fact,
and literally has proven multiple dimensions of
absolutely.
energy.
At least 9. At
And
least
then
9.
10.
Yeah, exactly. We know
And-
that there's more than 9. We know that 9 are solid. Now, question. if that's the truth, and you got to follow Hawking again and see what, you know, what equations he's worked out and what calculations he has on that side of it. And what has he told us? That your reality is based on what? Action. Your reality is not based on a pre-decided path. It's not based on time as we understand it. And that's the problem I have with people, is people think that they're so smart and we've got this whole universe figured out. And let me tell you something, we don't have anything figured out. Not even our own place in this universe.
Right.
You know, hey, you talked already, it's my turn.
I'm not just taking pictures, I'm just posting.
We have this little argument over who gets to talk more. That's why I'm not spiritual.
Just like a woman.
Is it
you
a
know,
spiritual
it's
journey? Yes, in some ways it is, because it's a journey of self-discovery as to what I am as an animal. What am I as a creature living on this planet? How do I interact with everything around me, with the energy? Am I in harmony with this energy? Am I in adversity with this energy? How am I working with this energy? Do you realize how your DNA is constructed? Do you study physics? Have you studied the anatomy of the physics? Okay, your DNA, for those who do not know, is a giant superconductor, for lack of all other definition. It actually oscillates. Do you know that? Your DNA is putting forth an oscillation frequency at all points in time. So given what we know about science, and given that energy can neither be what? Created nor destroyed. That is the rule. That's a solid rule. That's a universal rule. Where does the energy go? We're oscillating. We're giving off sending and receiving frequency. We are conducting it throughout our body. And all that's how your heart rate moves. That's how your blood actually moves through your system. Where's it go?
Dissipate.
Does it dissipate or does it change? Think about the theories of particle acceleration. When you die,
Change in energy requires an action.
in action, well, what's that? A synaptic reaction and action. So what if, and this is just theoretical, and this has been my theory for many, many years, that when we die, that last push of your body, that last fight of your body giving up, people always say they see the tunnel of light. That's the most common thing we hear from people who have actually died and supposedly come back. Tunnel of light. Okay, well that's I really do believe that's a synaptic of your optical, nerves. That's just the last bright flash. But what if that's your electrons accelerating to the point where they can actually phase and move past your body, conduct past your body, conduct to another frequency? What if it alters? What if it changes frequency when you die? We do know that the body, actually, a resonant frequency of the body when it's measured after death is a very, very, very minuscule different frequency than it is when you're alive. What if that's the difference? And I've always said, if you're going to study the paranormal, unfortunately, you're going to have to study their bodies. You're going to have to study the living and the dead to understand what we're dealing with. And again, if it's a spiritual thing, it can still be spiritual, because to me, it's a conscious energy. When you die, that's why I always tell people, it doesn't matter if you lived a good life. It doesn't matter if you're a good Christian, a good pagan. It doesn't matter if you're virtuous, if you did everything right. Because if you did things that went against your conscience, even if it's the law of your religion, if it was something that went against what you felt deep inside, guess what? That's embedded. And you're going to know it. And at the end, because we've been drilled our whole lives, that when we die, there's two places we're going to go. Heaven or hell. And it doesn't matter what religion you are. We all know that. That is the worldwide accepted. If you're bad, you're going to a bad place. If you're good, you're going to a good place. What if it's a conscious state on death? What if hell is basically of your own creation? And that's, again, people hate it when I speak like that. What about God? What about God? What about the divine within? Every major religion speaks of it. Do you ever think they were referring to maybe the fact that we're all gods? They say you're made in His form. Do you ever think that that may have meant you're all part of it?
Oh, I sense the spiritual part coming on. One thing I tell people all the time is that, they say that we were created in the eyes and the image of the Almighty. And so the Almighty is glorious. So why aren't we? That's what people do not realize the most. Why are we not glorious? We were created as great images because people do not realize the potential they have within themselves. We have this potential to be powerful beyond measure. But we'd rather dwell on the negative, on the doubts, on the insecurities, on the fear. We'd rather dwell on the wrong energies rather than the positive energies. So you have two you have to run across. And, Yeah. Okay. So, you know, you see, we and her been together for like ages, best friends. So we will, you know, we always contradict each other, go back and forth with each other because that's the way we are. But if we want to go to a little bit to the scientific level, I tell people about this amazing energy that's within us that when we die does not dissipate. If you break it down to the levels of an atom, what happens when you split an atom? It creates this force so devastating that Hiroshima was an example of it. But within a human body, what we have about 110 million atoms in a cell in the human body. Within the human body itself, we have 100 million cells. So in all actuality, we have about 110 trillion atoms in our body. If splitting only one creates a force so powerful, so devastating that it could wipe out a nation. Imagine the potential that we have within ourselves to understand who we are, what we are, to understand this energy, how we were created, how we were formed, how we affect every living thing around us, whether living or dead. So I believe that when we actually do die, the energy is still there. It's just some different frequency that we discussed before in the past. And you know, and everybody can sense it. When I came to the field, I was the biggest skeptic in the world. With the help of her and with the help of Virginia, I kind of woke up from that. And I had people tell me, well, I wasn't born a psychic or intuitive or... I said, well, think about it. We're all mammals. Okay? Dogs, cats, horses. A storm comes, a spirit's present, they freak out. How come they freak out and we don't? Because we're small. When Mommy and Daddy tells us, we tell Mommy and Daddy, I see things, I hear things. Mommy and Daddy have an invisible friend. The first thing they tell you, you're out of your freaking mind, go to your room, go clean up your room.
Well, that's evil.
Right? And you become desensitized. But being in this field and dealing with the energies and dealing with the frequencies, if you really want it bad enough, as she told me one day, she goes, George, if you really want it bad enough, just bear in mind that you're going to get the good and the bad. And then I fully accepted that, and I fully accepted understanding what the frequencies were about and about the good and the bad. And when these things happen, is it okay over there? Yeah. All right. When these things happen, you start coming to get a better understanding. Nancy always tells me, she goes, George, you know, you're not book smart, but you're world smart. Well, Nancy, on the other turn, it's book smart. She's the scientific part of it, and I'm the spiritual part of it. And together we...
Historical. I always look at history, and I relate history to what we see now. A lot of what we see right now is what we call modern scientific breakthroughs. Believe it or not, were theorized thousands of years ago and written. I mean, it's ridiculous when you actually think about, you know, some of the things that are written in cuneiform, some of the things that are written in hieroglyphics, and you look at it and apply it to what we have as current science, and it's the same exact thing. It's just in a more of a basic layman's form. And it's not imagination. It's not you trying to connect dots that don't exist. It actually exists. The connection is there. And you wonder, why is that? You know, what is that? But you know what? Like I was saying to George, when it comes to investigating, you have to be aware of frequency. You have to be aware of how to read your meters. You have to be aware of the fact that different things are going to throw off a frequency in a room. And again, it's one of my pet peeves with paranormal investigation. People, if a meter spikes, people are immediately assuming something paranormal is happening in that room. And even if the pressure changes, it's an immediate assumption that that's paranormal. Let me tell you something, guys. There is no definition of paranormal. There is nothing that you can actually put forth as evidence, unquestionable evidence of being paranormal, because we don't even know what paranormal is. Couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you. Define a ghost. Well,
and who's to say that
whose opinion would you like?
Who's to say that EVPs that are captured are really, you know, ghosts of spirits? Who's to say they're not residual? Who's to say that they're not another planetary, you know, level?
Radio wave. Who's to say we're not picking up something, a frequency from that wasn't emitted 100 years ago and it's been bouncing around the planet?
Just a little something that I think would be a good example about reinforcing what us transmitting and receiving energy frequencies is quiet control. You have one person putting out negative output, and we're kind of like bees in a beehive. They start transmitting that energy about, and they can sway the crowd. They can sway the crowd. That one person can start swaying the crowd, which is why in riot control we always try to take out the agitators. We try to isolate them and remove them from the crowd to keep them at ease, because if not, it can flare up. You can even see it nationwide, where you can feel that energy where people are feeling a bleak outlook about the future of this country.
Well, yeah. Well,
it transmits.
The eggshell, remember I was showing you, there's actually a study being done by Harvard. Oh God, I'm saying that now. I hate when I do that. And I'm actually a participant in the study, which is really bad that I can't remember the name. But basically, it's different programs that are placed with people throughout the world that monitor different frequencies. And what this study has found, and the most amazing example of it, it's called the eggshell study, but the most amazing example of it was 9/11. Right before 9/11 occurred, there was an incredible spike between 5:30 and 7:30 in the morning of just absolute huge energy spike right before the towers were hit. Since that time, the election of Obama, before Obama was elected, energy spike. It's amazing when you look at it. We're actually emitting. There's a conscious energy that flows around. It's the Global Consciousness Project. Thank you. If people feel it. Yeah, global consciousness. And it's really interesting if you sit and monitor the graphs and you look at world events as they've occurred. They are predictable. You can tell when something's coming. I mean, and it's kind of funny because you can feel in a room. I always tell people, when you're sitting in a room with somebody who's angry, like your dad or your mom, or you can feel them. You can be sitting back of the room and you'll feel that. I call it the sizzling frying pan of anger as it's transmitting across the room. Their facial expression could be totally light. Their body could be rock solid, no movement. But you know that person's angry. It doesn't have to be in their eyes. You're an animal. Basically put, we're all animals. And what he said about power control, absolutely true. One animal reacts, one animal starts an action, the entire herd reacts to the action. It's like cattle. You scare one cattle, the whole herd is taken off. It's a damn stampede. Same thing with people. We're not much different. Paranormal environments, when you're investigating, one person has an adverse reaction. One person in the whole crowd. And suddenly everybody's heard a voice, everybody smells a smell, and everybody's crawling around the corners. I knew it.
So if you're into it for the science, that's a wonderful thing because a lot of people are into it for the science.
Yeah.
But be open-minded to the spirituality of it as well, because it will transform your life. And what she's saying about crowd control and how one person can change things around, this is why I talk to everybody when I'm doing the positivity stuff. One reaction, your one reaction of leaving the house and changing the energy from a bad to a good will affect everyone you come in contact with, every single person. And they will smile. The next time they'll see you, they'll give you a hug. And in turn, everyone who they touch happens. And before you know it, you have this beautiful energy, the wave of positivity going across the world. Or you have a wave of negativity. The media is one that really drives on the frequency and energies, because all you hear is about fears, it's about being scared, it's about all the negative and bad things going on in the world, so you can dwell on that. Once you're dwelling on that, you remain in that state of being asleep. And then the last thing they want us to do is have that global consciousness. Because once you have that global consciousness, you're aware, you're awakened, you're seeing possibilities and understanding how everything coexists, and understanding that that we're connected to every living thing.
That's actually the cool part of that. We are connected to everything. Whether or not it's an inanimate object, doesn't matter. We are. You just want us to know close to it. I know.
Yeah, the audio is ramped up all the way,
Yeah.
so, especially when you guys ask questions, if you can kind of be a little bit louder so they can hear it too.
I mean, we are. Whether or not it's an inanimate object, it does not matter. It still is going to carry an emitted frequency. It's still got an energy field around it. Does not matter. So again, in this field, that makes it particularly tricky sometimes when you're investigating. Have I experienced personally something I can't explain? Yep. I've experienced quite a few things I can't explain. Has it ever scared me? No. It startled me. I'm not going to joke. I literally jumped across an entire hallway with one, and I'm little. I'm short. These are heels. My 4-inch heels. I'm only 5'2". I jumped across a 5-foot hallway into somebody, literally, like collided with them because something startled me so badly. That's a normal feeling in this field. The idea, and this is just a little advice for everybody. It's okay to feel that. I mean, people say, you can't be scared to do this. No, you can't be scared. You can't have a deep embedded fear when you're doing this. You cannot. You will completely, any investigation you're on, you're going to kill the evidence because it's going to be a bias. Okay? You're going to have this little pre-programming thing going on in your head. However, you can work with that. You can let it pass through you. Accept it. Know it's there. Okay, I got startled. I'm good with that. I'm good. Good job. In fact, he'll tell you, I'll turn around and be like, good job. You got me.
No.
And you move past it. If you allow fear to stick to you, it's a theory of science. You got to let it pass through, because if you have a positive and a negative, what happens? They don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
They get stuck. So you can have all these positive feelings inside of you, and if you have fear slamming into you, guess what? It's stuck. And now you're a big chaotic mess. And everything you do and everything you think is going to be absolutely slandered by what you're feeling at that point in time. If you feel that way, get out. There is no embarrassment. There is no odd eye out when a person walks out of a room. I've done it several times in my career, believe me. I had a place once where I literally walked in, was in there for about 5 minutes, had a very bad experience, looked at this investigator I was with and said, I'm going out front. You have fun. There goes my Gatorade. I'm going out front. I need to clear myself. I need to just calm down for a minute and breathe, because right now my chest is starting to tighten up. And that's not necessarily a physical reaction of what's going on. That's my anxiety. Recognize it for what it is. I mean, honesty is a really, really important thing in this field. But know it for what it is. And the anxiety could be coming from the person next to you. It could be coming from the room itself as a residual. And I always tell people that there are such things as residual emotion. You can feel an emotion when something very violent has occurred in a room. Best example of that, and I was telling George this last night, if you really, we're bending the table.
Yeah, I know.
It is going to be the most interesting speech ever if the table breaks. It really is. I was telling George last night, if you take a thermal imager and you place it on 2 different people, one person in a good mood, one person in a bad mood, what happens when you're in a good mood? Has anybody ever looked at a picture of a thermal imager on somebody in a good mood? What do you got? You have warm colors, right? Warm colors all around, reds, purples, all pretty colors. It looks like a nice little sparkly rainbow. Have you ever seen what happens when somebody's enraged?
Red.
No.
No. Black's out.
It's black.
Red.
It's void. There is no light. It's one of the most amazing things you'll ever see. And believe me, it's not something you find in the paranormal, which I find that incredible. It's not studies that are done in the paranormal. You'll see it in thermodynamic studies, though. A person's emotion can cause masses of light in thermodynamics. Is that not amazing? The anger will actually black out. The thermal imager will go blank, and when the person moves away, they step away from the range of the thermal imager, that area will remain black for about 30 seconds.
That's the mood reading work.
Yeah, and very similar to the way mood ring works. But this is measuring your thermal body temperatures coming out. So how could you do something that's so cold or so acid and it's black? It's a void. Again, think about that's the power of the energy our bodies hold and our emotions hold. Forget what we deal with in the paranormal. Forget what we're identifying. Now imagine if it was an energy that's passed on in an angry form. Suppose a mass murderer, somebody who's enraged enough to do something incredibly violent that most of us can't even imagine. Okay, can't even think about it. They're that enraged. And it passes on in that form. And people call that evil. I'm a person who I don't endorse good or evil. Okay, to me it's a perception. Good or evil all depends on what side of the point you're standing on at that moment in time. I always tell people my best example of that, 9/11. Everybody thought the terrorists were evil. Okay, terrorists were evil. They killed all those people. Yeah, to us they were horrible. To them and to those people, they're heroes. They've got their virgins. Are you kidding me? They are celebrating. They did this happily because that was their perception. That was their belief system. So whose do you weigh in with? Who's right and who's wrong? It's all perception. It's the same thing with the paranormal. It's the same thing with what we see as good and evil when we're investigating. Yes, you're going to feel something nasty sometimes. You're going to feel something that makes you want to punch a hole in the wall. It's going to give you the shakes. But is it evil? Or is it just anger? Is it just residual emotion? Is it just a residual feeling in the room?
Frequency.
Yep.
It's like if you go out to dinner with your wife and you sit down and you're having dinner and you're having a great time, and the minute you sit down you start arguing and fighting. Is it something that you created, or was it the person who left that initial spot was pissed off in a horrible mood, and you just have to sit down into that zone of frequency that he left behind. Because one thing she's taught me a lot about was when I would get emotions. And there's been cases where I've actually fell down on my knees crying because I was getting the waves of energy of something that wasn't mine. It wasn't me. But it felt like I lost somebody in my family, and I'm crying hysterical. And the first thing she told me was, if it's, let it roll off you like water. Let it run through you. This is not your emotion. And thus, I tell people when they're at a case, if you have one member in your case who's having a horrible day, who's pissed off at the world, who's coming angry, you know what? Let that maybe that person should sit out, because that energy bringing it into a case may actually turn the case around in the wrong way. So that person should really just take a step back and just relax, because one person's energy will ruin the energy of the whole entire team. And it boils that right back down to the frequency of it all. You know, if you have a team that's flowing perfectly and the energy is flowing perfectly, you see it, you got to work as a team. It's perfect harmony. Everything's flowing perfectly. The night goes well. One person's frequency is off. As I tell my people, if you're having a bad day, don't come. You sit this one out, and it's nothing personal. It's just right now that frequency that you're emitting is not going to be something good with what we're dealing with, especially when it comes to dealing with a home cleansing or some type of blessing. Because if that energy, you're out there to change the energy in a house from bad to good. You're out there to help ease the person. And if one person's energy is so bad, so off key from everyone else's, how can you accomplish something if you're not going to have that full mindset to do it? There's people that go and do cleansing, but they go through the emotions, and they do the whole kumbaya stuff, and it still remains.
That's my expression.
Right? But you have to believe in what you're doing. You have to believe in it, and you have to have that positive mind. I'm going to this location. I'm doing what I'm going to do. There's no other option about it. I'm going to make it happen because I'm doing it with love in my heart. Because when you have a lack of love in your heart, then everything turns into chaos, and everything follows and pursues that effect.
Which is why I don't believe in cleansings. Sorry, I had to do it.
It's okay.
I don't believe in cleansings. I don't believe that you can control what we're dealing with. I think you can only starve it or feed it. That's what I always tell people. You have a choice to make. If you have something going on, you can either starve it or feed it. Your personality, your inner reactions in your families, and this is why I say you can't cleanse a house with a family in it. Because they're going to have negative things happen. They're a family unit. Sorry, if you're married or in a relationship, you're going to have fights. And that is going to amp the energy up in the house. Energy, no matter what the form, is food. It feeds upon itself. It allows it to grow. It gives it strength. How are you supposed to negate that completely? All you can do is starve it. Try to basically keep yourself under control. I do, believe it or not, even though I'm a scientific-based person, for scientific reasons, I actually do agree with smudging. I do agree with the Native American ways of handling it, because on a very base level, smoke dissipates energy.
Right.
So to me, it makes perfect sense. Oh, heck yeah, light it up. Stay away from me.
If you do the smudging and you don't, the first thing is not just smudging, but you have to teach your family that their feelings,
deal.
right? Their feelings, their emotions are what's manifesting it. Their obsession with talking to their friends about what's going on in the house is what's creating it.
Their fear, their stress,
Right.
their finances. How do you train a family to not have stress? Can anybody tell me how to do that? That's why I hate it when I see these teams that say, we're going to come in, we're going to resolve all your problems, you're going to live happily ever after. No, because the first time stress hits again, it's game on. It's game on. And you know what? It's the psychology of the whole thing, too. How do you know it's not that stress that's not creating the problem to begin with?
But the game, of course.
I mean, it's again, define paranormal for me, because I can't define it. I can just tell you that it's something, I've seen things I can't explain. Is it something maybe our own brains are doing? Could be. Could very well be. Could it be something that's dimensionally related? Honestly, that's where I go. That's where everything I've ever studied, everything, even including the human anatomy, everything I've ever looked into leads me to that conclusion that this is dimensional. This is something that we're dealing with it's multiple layers. Even UFOlogy. Was it you that was into UFOlogy? I'm very much into UFOlogy. No! I have no idea what that is.
There's a little story I read up on Facebook the other day, which had such great meaning, and it was about a Cherokee wise man who was telling his son, within us all there is a battle between two wolves. There is a battle between a white wolf and a black wolf, and it's raging a war within us. So the son looks at his turkey father and goes, Dad, but who's winning the battle? Either the white wolf or the black wolf? And the father responds, it is the one you feed that's winning the battle.
That is, even, like I said, even with investigation, it's what you're feeding, it's what you're giving it, it's the material you're giving to it to work with. There are people who have things that happen, and I had a case several years ago where it was a woman, and no matter what we did, this poor woman, and I mean, I have EVPs I cannot explain that I got on that case, and I know, anybody who knows me will tell you, I am the first person to throw evidence out. Because it's crud, and I can't, there's no way for me to say, yeah, that's evidence. I can tell you, I'm like any skeptic would look at that and say, what were they thinking putting that up? That could have been this, that could have been that. If I can debunk it with a thought, it's not going up as evidence. And even if I put it up as evidence, I would put perhaps, or I'll put a word in front of it, because I don't know if it's evidence or not, because I don't know what the paranormal is. But I had, this woman, I had the most strange set of EVPs I've ever heard in my life. And this was a private residence. This wasn't a haunted location. This wasn't something, way in an insane asylum. No, this was a little house built in 2006. It was a woman. She was hearing voices. She kept saying, everybody thinks I'm nuts. I went to the doctor. I'm not schizophrenic. I mean, she had gone through the gamut. I felt bad for her. And I'll be honest, when I first was there, the first day I was there, I thought, oh, this woman's bonkers. Something's not right. I mean, there's no way she's hearing all these voices telling her to do this and telling her to do that. And that's crazy. I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I've never heard anything like this. 2 EVP sessions later, and I think I actually have those EVPs on my laptop with me. These EVPs came in at 6,000 hertz. That is physically impossible. Literally, these have been sent to, does everybody here know who Ron Leon is? You're in ufology. He's UFO Hunters. He's a producer on that show. He's an audio specialist. He got it. Landman Fear, an audio specialist. And Chris Forey, all 3 audio specialists this is sent to. All 3 said the same thing. There's no way on this planet that can exist. The human voice cannot possibly reach those levels. In fact, it would take a satellite in the room with you, spinning at a ridiculous rate of speed to even hit that frequency. Forget make it talk. And this is a good 30 seconds of talking. And it's all different voices. It's not one. It's like 4 or 5 different voices speaking. That was actually one of the stopping moments in my life. And it was very funny because when I brought this back to this woman and I played it, she immediately thought it was evil. Oh my God, it's Satan in my house and he's trying to get me. Oh my God, I told you. And I said, no, I don't think that's what it is because that's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing people trying to talk to you and basically wondering why you're not talking back because they know you can hear them. You can hear them, obviously. They're talking to you. Maybe you need to set rules. Because honestly, you're not going to get rid of them. I was like, I'm not going to feed you a line and tell you, oh yeah, we'll banish them for you. No, it's not going to happen. You might as well get used to it. And the best way to do that is learn how to coexist. Talk to them, set up boundaries, tell them they can't come in your bedroom. You want to talk to me in the kitchen. You want to talk to me in the living room. Do not come in my bedroom, unless it's an emergency. Do you know she contacted me 6 months ago? And she had been living that way and has not had any problems. In fact, the last time she heard something, it wasn't her bedroom. And it was a male, one of the males, telling her to get up, get up, get up, get up. She had to get up. And she did get up. And she went out into the living room. And it kept saying, don't stop, don't stop. And she was moving through the living room. She got to the back door. She opened the slider, kind of looked out back, get breath, air, and just kind of check her backyard because the motion sensor light in the back of the yard had gone off. Her back slider was open. All of a sudden, the front doorbell rings. She goes to the front door. It's a sheriff's officer. There's a burglar running around the neighborhood. And her back door was unlocked that whole time. Again, and I said to her, I hate doing the flowery route. I hate to say, oh, it's a guardian angel. But, someone's watching out for you. I said, that's all I can say. I mean, either that or psychologically you had some kind of a forewarning that something was coming. I said, I can't, because you were dead asleep from what you told me. But again, that again proves to me that it's all in the frequencies. It's all in the frequencies. For some reason, she's tuning into a higher level frequency. She's hearing you. And it turned out later, and I was telling my boyfriend, one of the interesting parts of this case was that this woman actually has a cochlear implant, which I did not know until a little bit into the investigation. She has an implant. And it may, actually, I studied cochlear implants for like 8 months after that, to think maybe there's something within the implant that's tweaking, that she's catching a frequency the rest of us are not. And wouldn't it be amazing to know what that frequency is? Because she was hearing, I mean, she hears full-length conversations. So again, it points to, is this a frequency we're dealing with? Is it our dead relatives? Who knows? It could be dead anybody. I mean, I always tell people that. You ask me if we're haunted during the day. Well, if you follow the theories of haunting, yeah. They're not going anywhere during the day. It's not like they wake up at night like vampire legends and come and haunt you. No, it's around you all the time. But there's so much going on during the day, you're not focused. Even with investigators at night, when we're messing with our equipment, it's one of the reasons I hate the equipment sometimes. Because you're so focused on that equipment running right, and the lines being correct, and not tripping over wires, and not bumping into the cameras, you're not focusing on your environment.
Sometimes just stick to basics. Sometimes just take a recorder and go in there. Forget the camera, forget the videos, stick to basics. As investigators, we're of course here to find the truth. Sometimes the truth is right before your eyes, and sometimes the truth is told the wrong way. Okay?
10 minutes, guys. If
All right,
you
you
want to
got it.
open up the floor to questions or anything like that, feel
Yeah.
free.
Sometimes, you know, as an investigator, we're here to learn. And don't just stop on the scientific level. Dive into the spirituality level as well. Learn as much as you can. One thing I've learned, I dived into everything, from learning about Wiccans, learning about pagans, learning about Christians, learning about Catholics, learning about Santeria, whatever the case was, because I wanted to see what each different culture had a perspective on what was that they were dealing with. Was it a great ghost? And that's one thing, that the most biggest problem is that people run around and say, it's evil, it's haunted, without actual fact of it being any such things. You know, when a spirit passes on, this frequency can be a positive frequency, if it was a positive person, or if it was a pissed off person that died suddenly, they can have a negative frequency. Who's to say that an entity exactly is evil? You know, it possibly is just a pissed off spirit. And what we've dealt with, and what we've dealt with, there are people go in there and try to provoke him to get that pissed off reaction. We found that when we do go in there, we don't provoke him. We actually sit there with compassion and talk to her like if it actually was a friend of ours who was just pissed off.
Okay, he has compassion.
She doesn't.
So I wear the pants. That's wrong. I wear the pants. I just talk to him like I was talking to you.
Yeah, exactly.
I do an EVP session. You would laugh if you walk in on one of my EVP sessions. Honestly, you would. Because it's like I'm talking to you. So how you doing? How's your day been? Are you upset that we're here at 3 o'clock in the morning? Trust me, I'm not happy about being here.
And the spirit never gets a word in, as you can see by this little session here. So I guess we're going to open up the questions before we get kicked off, and that those ghost stop people show up.
Okay, Andre, you're going to wear the camera in there.
So does anyone have any questions, by all means? Anything they want to ask?
She said that you believe that smoke kind of calms down the energies and everything.
Yeah.
What about repeat of smudging and all that?
You have to repeat what you do.
I do.
That's one of the things, again, I hate when people go in and do what they call a cleansing and they don't know what they're doing. They're not thinking about the science of it. They're thinking about the notoriety, I guess we'll say.
I do my house every 2 months.
Yeah, when you smudge, if it's active, well, number one, if it's activity related, you have to do it once a day minimal for at least 2 weeks. Because the energy has to be leveled down. It's a process. I mean, once the smoke dissipates, what do you think? The energy's gone? It's not gone. It's just moved away from the smoke. It's coming back.
And even if you smudge someone's home, and they're still bitter, angry people, it's not just about that. You have to, we have clients for the last year who actually become best friends of ours, who call us on occasion, because it's a learning process. They have to become aware that their actions are creators, their frequencies are creators. So you have to be there and you have to guide them. And, oh, I'm having a horrible day. Well, relax, let it out. You know, you've been through worse, you've overcome worse. And we have clients, of course, there's clients that thrive on it. Oh, no, my friend, they came and cleaned my house, I don't have no spirits. But you know, when I did have spirits, you're acknowledging it. Since you're acknowledging what was there, and we try to help you get rid of it, your acknowledgement is feeding it again, and once again, it's going to come back in. I can't tell you how many times we've had cases that people actually invited in because that was their 15 minutes of fame in life to talk to their family members and their neighbors that they had this one thing in their house.
And 20 years ago, believe me, this would have gotten you a fast ticket to a Baker Act. Believe me.
Oh, yeah.
Before the entertainment side of it came into play.
I use sage, I use frankincense and myrrh.
You can use tobacco.
Yeah.
Tobacco is actually the original form of what they used to use. They used pure tobacco.
The sage smells nice.
Sage smells really good. Sandalwood is very nice also.
I tried
salt water.
I tried different types of weed, but the squad kicked in the door one day and said, I don't like to use that anymore.
Instead of sprinkling sea salt around, I use it in a spray bottle of water.
Right.
Get water.
Well, Bobby does a little magic conjuring of stuff.
Yeah.
What do you mix?
To keep keep them away when you leave an investigation. I take a spray bottle with half filled with holy water and half filled with Florida cologne water, and then I break a little brick of camphor in half. And I crunch it up and I put it inside the spray bottle.
And it smells like hell, and I tell you, we want to get away from it.
Yeah.
So imagine what spirit feels
It's
like.
worked for us. So.
Yeah. I mean, mostly after every case we've done, I actually smudge every one of my guys. If it's a bad place, I will smudge every one of my guys. Do a blessing for everyone before they leave the location. But that's just us. It's not something that everyone does. But now, in my opinion, that's what actually worked for us. I have no one, Nancy, because she has a totally different belief
He
system.
smudges me, I'll knock him out.
You see that? So,
It boosts it boosts faith and belief, and basically you want to walk out of there faithfully feeling that you're protected. And if you believe that you're protected, you.
I've never had a fear of this. Again, my belief systems are different. My belief systems are not what most
What do
people's
you
belief
do?
systems are.
What do you do to protect yourself?
You know that, I do the waterfall. I mean, on the glass.
If she runs
It
around naked
goes
in the
straight-
waterfall.
Yes, I have done that actually. But to me, it goes, it passes through me. I do not allow anything to stick to me. And you know what, never did. And if I feel negative, okay, feeling negative.
How does somebody?
I accept it, I walk
How does
on.
somebody do that though? I mean, how do you let it not stick to you? What advice would you give?
You have to
somebody?
believe what you're thinking.
Yeah.
It's perceptional. Like I said, it may not work for you because to me, I honestly believe that because I know it works for me. I mean, I can be in a room and I can feel panic coming on, and as soon as I envision myself, okay, you're clear, you are water, it is going through you, it's not sticking. It's not, you're not welcome here. You're not sticking to me.
If you have
It's
any
not.
doubt in your head that it's going to attach you or follow you home, remember, it feeds on weakness. It feeds on weakness of free will. If your will is strong, if you're positive, and you say, you know, I'm going to make this happen, this thing is not following me home, it's not going to stick with me, it's not going to do it. You're too much of a challenge to it. It's when you're fearful of it.
No, I'm saying
No,
5
he's giving me a
minutes.
hand signal.
5 minutes.
Oh, my dude.
He's
wait.
talking to me.
Hi, Ghost. Bye.
Not just
No, but again, it's perceptual in a lot of ways. I mean, I'm just not, and I've known this for a long time, I'm not a normal person when it comes to stuff like that. I don't care what people talk about, I don't care what they say, I still tell you that. I always tell them that. I don't care. You know what, I have grown up on the outside of pretty much everybody, my whole life.
She sits outside a hotel, we had her in her room last
Shut
night.
up. I have kids who have been persecuted for what I am. So I have dealt with more negativity than most people should ever handle in their lifetime. Honestly, I really have. You learn how to live with that and how to not let it touch you. I always say, you know what, people don't like me? That's their choice. Hoorah! Have a good time. If they waste their time talking about me, that's great because that means they're focused on me. It's good energy. It's a good thing.
They're wasting their energy.
Exactly. But
And,
again,
well, and to that I say, you know what? Everything you've been through in life is small to now. You have family members you lost. You've had people who died. You're here today. You're stronger because of it. Everyone who hurt you didn't really hurt you, but they made you stronger. They made you who you are and define who you are. So accept that frequency. Accept that you can do a right from a wrong. Accept that your life can change on a positive note. And with that we say, God bless you.
no, I don't say God bless you. He says God bless
Well,
you.
anyway, God bless you. We love you all, and thank you for being here with us.
Good job, guys.